Right.
Sure people will love that.
Okay, so I'm getting the live button at the top. And
Yep, me too.
good, that's excellent.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so I've got the viewer count at the bottom, which is still 0. Oh, it's gone up to 1 now. That's encouraging. Maybe if one of you could have a look on the other link.
Yeah.
And don't forget your...
I've got the viewer count at the bottom, which is still 0.
Okay, this is where I need to mute my other window. Hang on.
Maybe one of you can have a look on the other link. And don't forget your...
Right, that's better. Okay, everybody
Hopefully.
muted appropriately. Right, oh, fantastic.
Yes.
We're up to 6 viewers. Brilliant. Okay, morning, everybody. We're just going to talk generally for a minute or two because we know from experience with these things that it takes a while. There's a bit of a delay and it takes a while for people to connect sometimes. So we're just going to talk amongst ourselves before we introduce it properly in a minute or two. Oh, I see we've gone up to 12. That's fantastic. But we should be around about the 50 mark, which would be amazing. That's the biggest group we've ever had. So that would be really exciting to get to grips with all of your blogs and thoughts and plans and how you're getting on with your programme. So we're really looking forward to this. And if you've not done one of these sessions before, you should be able to see and hear the 3 of us. It's me, I'm Lisa, and Nick and Sarah. We'll introduce ourselves properly in a minute when we've got everybody here. But you should be able to see and hear us, and you can also raise questions by text, which we can then respond to via this video link. So do feel free during the session to pose any questions that you have. And we use Twitter extensively, so if you want to use Twitter to raise a question or post a picture of what you can see out of your window, that would be fantastic too. Okay, so I'm looking at my viewer count. It's still hovering around 12. In fact, it's just gone down to 9, which is like, it scared 3 people away already.
It'd be nice if people did hello on the text. It showed us they were there.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see a hello.
Hello. So if you can see and hear us okay, perhaps you could, because we can't see you, don't forget. So the only way we can tell if you're there is if you send us a message or if you tweet us. So some kind of indication of life would be great. And then
Maureen's alive. She said, thank you, Maureen. How are you?
Have you got one there, Nick?
Yeah, we have.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant. So what does the message say?
It says hello and a smiley
Well,
face.
that's a good start. That's a good start. And that's who's that from?
Yep, from Maureen.
Maureen. Brilliant. Okay. Right. Well, I'm still getting my viewer count has gone down again to 7, which is slightly odd. But anyway, maybe we've got a group of people around one laptop or on one big screen. So I think we'll crack on now because we should have got all the technical stuff up and running okay. So welcome. This is Living and Working on the Web, just in case you're in the wrong room. And I'm Lisa, and I'm joined by my 2 lovely colleagues who you should be able to see in the bottom right of your screen. And depending on who's talking, that will come up as the main picture. But we have Nick on the left and Sarah on the right. So would you each like to just introduce yourselves briefly? Deathly silent.
Sure. So yeah, my name's Nick, and I'm working with all of you and with Lisa and Sarah on this particular module this year. I worked with it last year as well. I'm a PhD student and digital educator, science and education generally, and I'm really looking forward to this iteration of the module. So hello everyone.
Hello. Thanks, Nick. Sarah?
Yeah, hi. I'm Sarah. I'm working with Lisa and Nick on this module again this is the 2nd or 3rd time round. I can't remember, Lisa.
I think it's second for you on this one.
than this one. I'm also a PhD with student. I started at the same time as Nick. Our PhDs have both got a foot in education, although mine is only a small, just a few toes rather than an entire foot, because I'm looking at what teachers say about teaching, whereas Nick is focused on the learning. So that's kind of the difference. So hello, good morning, or in your case, good afternoon, I should say.
Yes, we should remind you all, and make you feel really bad, that we've got up incredibly early to do this today. Although the good thing is it is daylight outside, because we've just changed the clocks here in the UK last weekend, so we've actually got some light in the mornings at the moment. But that'll probably get less as we go through this module. Anyway, so the plan for this morning is that we're going to just introduce briefly, first of all, some of the ideas behind this module and why we think it's important, and then we're going to talk you through what you need to do to get started. And there's a bit of setup involved, so it's important that you take note of that. We can get you all set up and running quickly, because there's quite a lot of you, so we want to make sure that process is as smooth as possible. So I'm going to ask Nick first of all, because this is really very close to Nick's PhD work, just to give us a little bit of background and rationale for the module and why we think it's important for you. So over to you, Nick.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so life today at least in affluent, highly digitized societies like ours, and that's in Singapore and many other places, we grow up really interacting with technology, and especially digital technology and the web, from really a very, very young age. I mean, if you actually think about it, really, perhaps that picture our parents take of us when we're just born and post it onto a WhatsApp group or a Facebook page, it's possible that we're online within hours of being born. And so therefore, perhaps it's best to think about learning today as being networked individuals, learning in a networked society. Technology, the web, and become so interdependent, so linked, that it's had a really profound effect on the way we learn. Lots of things. It's changed how we find, use and store information. It's changed how we communicate and work together. And it's changed how we create, present and share our ideas together. On top of that, it's also changed as well, and from whom we learn. We don't necessarily need to learn directly from an expert anymore. We can learn from all the people in our network, the people we're connected to, the institutions, the forums, the groups, and the actual real life people, of course, as well. And importantly, that can be your peers, just as much from your classmates as you can from a teacher, perhaps even more. And that's a key part of this particular course, is that the course is designed to reflect that idea of learning from each other and using your network, using your network to maximize that potential. In effect, really, we need to think of ourselves in the sense of a modern learner, as someone sitting in the middle of our personal learning network. And that's a network of devices, a network of people and places and organizations and information that's distributed all around the world that we can call on. It's designed to try and reflect that philosophy. Would you agree with that, Lisa, Sarah?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
We both started talking at the same time there. Yes, and I think the great thing about this module is you'll get the opportunity to put that directly into practice. So you, as we'll be discussing in a minute, you will be learning from each other. You'll be reading and commenting on each other's work and also marking your own work to some extent as well. So we realise that this is probably quite new for most of you. And so we will be having these sessions every morning through the course, actually, which really partly, certainly at the beginning, partly about sort of explaining how it all works, but also to give you an opportunity to ask questions and sort out any issues that you might have, because obviously you're a few thousand miles away and we can't just kind of pop round the corner and look over your shoulder. So, Okay, so thanks for that introduction then Nick. What I'm going to do now, hopefully, is share my screen with you and show you how the blog and how everything is going to work. She says. So where's it gone? Let's see if I can find the, here we are. Find the right page. Okay,
Right.
now hopefully you can see, can you see, Nick or Sarah, perhaps you could confirm, can you see the study guide on your screen?
Currently.
Not currently. Okay, that's a bit of a
Changing
shame.
now. Yes, there we go. You can see it now. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Right, I need to remember the delay. Okay, so
Don't talk.
right, so here we have the whole guide to how the module works and the day-by-day activities. And you should be able to see that the very first link on this page is to the module blog. And I'll come to that in just a minute. But if I just scan quickly down through this guide, just to show you what's there, it's got a timetable. I'm flicking down quite quickly, but you don't have to read it word for word right now, and it might be too small to see in that detail anyway. But we've got a day-by-day timetable of what's happening on the module in terms of these particular Hangouts and what you should be doing alongside those in your own work. And that, I'm just flicking down through the table, takes us through to the 16th of November, which is just over 2 weeks away. And then your final piece of work is handed in by the 24th of November. So it's quite a short period of time. So we need to be very efficient in moving through the timetable, stick to the deadlines and make sure that everybody's keeping up and understanding everything as we go along. So it's important that if you haven't had a chance to look at this document yet, that you do read it carefully, because it does explain exactly what you're asked to do and what the deadlines, etc. are. So it's unfortunately rather long, but I'm not going to go through it word for word at this moment, but I'm just really just flicking through to show you what you need to read and where everything is. So it tells you all the different topics that we'll be covering, and then I'm flicking down a bit further, how it comes to how we mark the work. We'll say more about that when we get a bit closer to the first topic. But I'm just showing you that all in one place here is all the structure, timings, content, marking of the module. One lovely document. So it's posted on Blackboard. It's also posted in our blog, and I'm just going to go to that now. Hopefully this link will work. Nick and Sarah, can you see if there's any questions so far?
I'm looking, and no, there isn't so far.
Okay, do feel free if you have questions to raise them at any point. We will keep checking that list. Right, so can you now...
Keep saying hello to us as well.
Okay, great. Can you now see the blog on the screen? It's a horrible picture of me. I'm just going to change to the home. Right, you should now be able... Can you now see the Living and Working on the Web blog?
Not currently, no.
Not currently, no. Okay, that's a shame.
It's still showing the study guide.
Right, hang on. That's probably because I need to stop sharing this one and then start sharing the new one.
It might help.
Right. Okay, so we're now back to the standard screen. Right, I'm going to try screen share again. So what have we got here? Right. Ooh, can you see it now?
Yep. That's
One's saying yes and one's saying no.
Well, I'm looking at the YouTube. It's got a delay on it, remember? Yep, it's there now.
Fantastic. Right, so you should be able to see then the module blog, which has got 2 posts on it so far, which explain how to get started with the module. Before I get into those, I'll just show you what we've actually got on this blog so far, which isn't a great deal because we haven't actually really started yet. But we do have our Twitter feed. So anything that's tweeted with the module hashtag, which is its code MANJ2049, will display on the Twitter feed. And so you can see within the blog all the latest tweets relating to the module. So again, there isn't very much there at this stage because we haven't really got going yet. But there's links to this particular session. And there's also a message from Ryan. Ryan took the module last year. And so he's been tweeting already this morning about that. Now, these sessions...
Ryan's also watching us now, Lisa.
Is he? Oh, fantastic.
He logged in and said hi to us.
Oh, brilliant. Great. Hi, Ryan. And Ryan's on his...
Just, Lisa, remind me again of the hashtag for the blog.
I'm sorry?
What's the Twitter handle for our course? Remind me again.
MANJ2049.
With a hashtag.
Okay, I'll put that in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put that into the chat window so everyone can see it.
Brilliant. Okay. So I'm just scrolling down through the blog. Underneath the Twitter feed are links to, at the moment, what are last year's sessions like we're doing now. So don't get confused by looking at the wrong year. What will happen is when we finish this session this morning, it will be saved to YouTube and you'll see it at the top of this list. And then that will be added to each day as we do more of these sessions. So you can see at the moment we've got from last year, we've got the last one from last year at the top, and then going back from Hangout 12 back down to Hangout 9. So the new ones this year will appear at the top of that list and gradually push those further down. So if you are looking for a recording, make sure you're in the right year, because you might get a bit confused. Right. So as I said, there isn't much on the blog at the moment because we haven't started, but you see at the top here, there are a list of topics and general feedback headings. So messages like the ones that are already in there, which are getting started and welcome, will be in the important announcements section. And then when we get started with topic 1, which is the first of 5 that we'll be covering over the next 2 weeks, you'll be able to see those if you click the topic 1 window. So at the moment there's nothing there because we haven't actually started it yet. If I go back to important announcements, then these are the 2 posts that are important at the moment, which is about getting started. So as we work through, we will be adding materials in to the relevant topics. So we'll do topic 1 first. That'll be on Thursday and Friday this week. Then next week we'll get into topic 2, 3 and start topic 4. And then the final week we'll finish off with the topic 5. So gradually the content on this blog will build up as we go through all of the topics. And the main reason it will build up is because we're going to be asking you to set up your own blogs, which will look very similar to this one. And we will pull your posts from your blogs into this main module blog, so you'll be able to see everybody's work in one place. So that's another reason why there's not much in there at the moment. But if you want to see how all that looks, you'll see at the top there's an archive section of the blog, which has got 2014 and 2015. So you can see everything that we did on this module for the past 2 years in that archive. So obviously those courses are complete. They will have everybody's contributions for each topic. So there'll be lots and lots of posts in those archives. But so if you want to get an idea of what the module will look like by the end, then have a look at either the first or the second running of the module. You should be able to find Ryan in last year's as well. Okay, are we getting any questions? Or please, I've gone through that quite quickly, but if it makes sense, please just give some indication via the chat window if it's making sense so far, or if you've got a question, please feel free to raise it. Can you guys see if there's anything?
No, there's nothing so far.
Nothing so far.
No, I've just asked again.
Can we get a thumbs up? Can we get a thumbs up if it's all making sense? That would be great. It would be great to see a thumbs up from someone if you're understanding so far.
Do we have a question, or does it make sense? Maybe Therese is saying yes, it makes sense.
Oh, good.
I've got a thumbs up from Brendan.
That's always good to know. It's very disturbing when you can't actually see people's faces. I don't know if you're looking puzzled or happy or even asleep. So
lots of thumbs up coming in.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent.
Yeah, lots and lots.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay, let's have a look at the welcome post then. This is about, so on the blog, I'll just click the continue reading, and this is our introductory post. There are some slides there which are really just for background. We're not going to talk through them in this session. We might refer to some of them in future sessions, but that's just a background resource for you. It also shows some of the things you can do if you have a blog like this. And you've made a presentation, you can embed your presentation in a blog post in the same way. So it serves a couple of purposes. But there's some slides there which introduce and give a bit more rationale about the module along the lines Nick was describing just now. So I'm just scrolling down. So we're saying that we're using these sessions every day at 3:30 your time, which are really troubleshooting sessions and to keep you on track and make sure that you're understanding and you're getting feedback on your work as we go along. So obviously, if you're watching this now, you've managed to click and access the first session. It is the first time we've done it in this format because we've used what we call Google Hangouts for the past 2 years, which Google have very recently, in the last few weeks, changed to operate through YouTube Live. That's why we've got the sort of double terminology in places. You know, it says YouTube Live, brackets was Google Hangout. So it meant that the setup process is a bit different, and it all seems to be working. We have tested it out. It seems to be working very smoothly, but it is the first time we've actually used this particular YouTube format. The good thing about it is it does save this session directly to YouTube. So if you haven't seen it live, or if there's anything you want to watch again, then it'll be there and it will display in the right-hand side of the blog here if you want to access it later. Okay, so the next bullet point says you'll be setting up your own blog, so I've mentioned that already. And we'll be covering 5 distinct topics, 2 days per topic during the module. Now, we do have a version of this module running in the UK at the moment, and the UK students, they have the whole term to do the module. And before you start thinking that that's really unfair because you've only got 2 weeks, they actually do 4 modules at once, whereas you just do the 1. So actually the total amount of work is the same, it's just the structure that's different. But why that's useful to you is that it means that at some point next week, both you and the UK students are going to be doing the same topic at the same time. So what you might like to do is read posts from their work and comment on their work, as well as your own colleagues in your own group. So we think that'll be around about topic 3. So that's just something to bear in mind, and we'll remind you nearer the time. But it would be great to see some interaction with the UK students. And I know Ryan was very good last year in doing that, and he came over to visit us as well, which was fantastic. Okay, so 5 topics then. And the next point says questions via Twitter using the hashtag. Okay, and then there's some guides to reflective writing and modular assessment. Okay, so that's a bit more background about. Yes, Nick?
Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say it's definitely worth looking at the guide to reflective writing as well. Sometimes for some people that might be a new skill or something that they're not so used to. And with the UK students, it's often something that we see as a weakness, perhaps in the first topic of the course. So it definitely is worth the students having a look at that guide before writing.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, Nick. Are we getting any questions?
No.
Right.
Thumbs up, okay, smileys and peace.
Great. Okay, let's have a look at the other getting started post then. So, right. Okay. So this is where we get into a bit more detail about what you need to do to get yourselves up and running with your blogs. And we have set up 2 guides. Now I'm just going to open up one of these. I'll try this one first, 9 steps to getting started. Now, can you see this okay? Before I start wittering on and find you can't see it. There should be a 1-page diagram with lots of yellow stars and blue boxes.
I can see it.
You can see it. Well done, Sarah. Yeah, you can all see it. Fantastic. Right. So this is Sarah's wonderful diagram called 9 steps to getting started. So we're going to talk you through this now and make sure that you're all clear about what you need to be doing before our next session tomorrow morning. So number 1 says visit the main course blog. That's what we've just been doing. Read the study guide and check the schedule. Okay, so that's the kind of housekeeping that you really need to do before anything else to make sure that you're clear about what's expected of you. Then the second thing we ask you to do is to create a blog. Now, you may have one already that you want to use, which is absolutely fine, or you may want to start a completely new one, or you may have never done it before. We recommend WordPress mainly because that's what we use, it's what the module blog uses, and it's very easy to integrate other WordPress blogs into the module blog. If you do have a completely different type that you want to use that still allows you to do the things that you need to do for the module, then that's fine as well, although you may be a bit more on your own in terms of the functionality if it's not a WordPress setup. Normally, 99% of people use WordPress. We've had only a couple of cases where people have already had their own blog that they wanted in a different format that they wanted to use. So it's probably the sort of most obvious thing to do in most cases. You also need to have a Gmail account, which I'm presuming most of you already have anyway, and it used to be essential for using YouTube effectively. I know that link is now broken, but I think probably most people have got a Gmail for some purpose or other. But that's what we use for the feedback to you. So I'll come back to that in a minute, but you'll need a Gmail account. You'll also need a Twitter account, and hopefully a number of you are already active on Twitter. But if you aren't, now's your chance to get started. And you can even follow us and see what things we use Twitter for, and your colleagues, and hopefully as well students here in the UK who are studying the same module, and anyone else that you think will be relevant and useful. So that's 3 things you need to set up if you haven't got them already: a blog, a Gmail account, and a Twitter account. If you've already got all of those 3, then you're onto a flying start. Right, I'm just scrolling down a little bit. So, right, point 5 then, this is where we need some information from you. There's a link to a Google form, and this is where Sarah's going to be collecting your details. So we need the address of your blog, your Twitter handle, and your Gmail address entered into that form, and then we can create your own personal feedback forms where we'll give you feedback on each of the topics through the module. So that's probably the most urgent thing to do. I'm getting some Twitter followers popping up on the screen. Great, fantastic. So that's probably the most urgent thing. And if you could get that done today, that would be fantastic, because then we can make sure that your forms are all set up and ready so that when topic 1 starts, you've got the right place to get your feedback and to self-mark your work. That's point 5, right. Then point 6 is, we haven't posted it yet because we haven't actually got to topic 1, but on the module blog, I'll post up a short introduction to the first topic, which will give you a bit of background information about it, and it will also ask you a specific question, which you need to answer in a blog post on your blog. Oh, great. So I'm just seeing a tweet from Maureen. Thanks, Maureen. It's disappeared off my screen now, so I'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, so for each topic, you're writing a blog post which is answering a specific question. It's 400 words, and you post that by a specific deadline, which in this case will be, let me think, topic 1 first post will be Thursday, end of the day on Thursday. And then the next task, having written your post, is to read and comment on the work of 2 other colleagues. So people whose work you particularly like, or maybe people who you think have taken a different perspective to you, you might want to comment on their work, and we'll say a bit more in a minute about what that might look like. But you write 2 comments, and finally, at the end of the topic, a 300-word reflective post, which considers what you've actually learned as a result of reading and commenting on the work of other people. So that is what the first topic looks like, and then the whole process repeats for topics 2, 3, 4, and 5. So basically, for each topic, you'll be writing an initial answer to a question, you'll be writing 2 comments on the work of other people, and finally a reflective post thinking about what you've learned as a result of that process. And then it all starts again with topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, topic 5, following exactly the same cycle. And as soon as topic 1 is finished, we'll start cracking on with the marking of it, so that you get feedback from us that you can then factor in to your topic 2 work. So we try to get that back to you as quickly as we can, but do bear in mind there's quite a lot of you, and certainly for the first topic, where people may still be having technical issues with setup, or maybe have misunderstood how it works, it does take quite a while sometimes to make sure everybody's sorted with topic 1 and knows exactly what they're doing. So I've galloped through the 9 stages to getting started with the course. Does anyone have any questions?
We've had no questions so far. Isaac has kindly told us that he understands.
Good.
So
Thanks,
he's also following it. Well, I've been typing a kind of text commentary on what you're saying, Lisa, just to give people a written copy as well.
Fantastic. That's brilliant.
But so far, no one seems to have come back with question marks and exclamation marks and general rude words. So perhaps people are understanding it fine.
Good. That's good to know. Right. Okay. So I'm going to close this document then and have a look at the other one. So the next one is the module overview document. Another wonderful creation by Sarah. Now, this might look a bit scary. Can you see it?
Yep, I can see it.
Right. It's basically the whole module in one page. So it's really just a different way of displaying what I've already said, but just as a chart rather than as 9 steps. So it's effective. You look along the top, it gives you a helpful comparison between UK time and Singapore time. And we work on your time for deadlines and things. So it'll be midnight Singapore time will be your deadline for handing everything in. So day 1, Tuesday, that's today. And you can see day by day, if you look across the table, what you're expected to do. So I think I've probably said this already, but just for the purpose of clarity, on the first day, you should have read the module guide. You should have started setting up your blog, and hopefully starting to populate your blog, not necessarily with topic 1, which we haven't got quite to yet, but all blogs have what's called an About Me section, which is basically where you can introduce yourself and perhaps include a picture and a bit of description about who you are, what you're doing, what you hope to do. So that's something that's a useful introduction to get you started with blogging, is to populate your About Me section. And the thing I haven't mentioned yet, guys, if you remind me in a minute, is the self-test. I'll come back to that in a second.
Remind you of that.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm just reading through this diagram to see if there's anything I haven't mentioned. I mean, it really just shows you day by day where we should be with the different topics and the deadlines, and how the marks are split between the different parts of the task. So, it's partly about answering the question, it's partly about commenting on the work of others, and it's partly about your summary. So we take all of that together when we work out the marks. And on the left-hand side of the bottom...
Can you just say at this point, Lisa, sorry?
Yeah.
It would be a good idea for everyone, as with all of these documents, to spend a little bit of time looking at the marking criteria that they will use when they self-mark, and also that we will use to grade them as well. The understanding the marking criteria will give you a good idea of what we're looking for, and hopefully how you can achieve it.
Yes, that's a very good point. And when we set up your feedback documents, you'll get a table in that document which lists all the marking criteria and shows you what we expect to see for each grade of work. So you will get that as the basis for thinking about the marks for your questions.
I think there's a copy of it in the study guide as well.
There is indeed, yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's on this summary diagram in the bottom left is the deadlines for each of the pieces of work. So you'll see your first deadline is the end of Thursday, which is your first topic 1 post. And then by the end of Friday, you need to have done your comments and your summary and submitted those. And then we'll get those marked and back to you over the weekend. And then we start on Monday with topic 2. Okay. Are we getting any questions?
No. Eddie says everything's crystal clear, so that's great.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Right. Okay. I'm just going to go back to the blog then. And hopefully talk about the self-test. Here we are. So just further down that same blog post, there is a link to a self-test. Now this may not work, but we'll see. Oh, well, the link will work, but I mean, displaying it might not work. But we'll see in just a second. Can you see the self-test document?
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
Not yet.
It's just pretty much a blank table. No?
Yet.
Okay. I think for some reason when I show Word documents, I need to come out of screen share and go in again for some reason.
Yeah, it's not showing on the YouTube feed.
Right. Okay. Bear with me a minute. Right, so I stop my screen share. Oh, there we go. Back to normal view. You should just be able to see, oh, Sarah's disappeared. You should be able to see just the 3 of us now. Right, I'm going to screen share again and see if I can find that Word document. There it is. Right. Is that any better?
Yep, that's it. I can see that.
Right. Okay. So this is really a very simple document. It's just 1 page, and it asks you to rank your current activity in terms of different types of digital tasks. So if you look down the left-hand column, it's asking you things like, how well do you evaluate online information? Do you participate in online communities? Are you part of an online network? Do you collaborate with others, etc.? So there's a number of different categories of activity, and you're asked to give yourself a rating. So score yourself out of 5 as to how much or how little you do each of those things. And then there's another column which asks you to comment. So you can make some notes about things that you might want to improve or things that you think you're particularly good at, and perhaps providing the evidence for that. So we ask people to do this at the very start of the module, because at the end, what we want you to do is to look back at it and work out how much you've improved in all the different areas. So what you should see in a couple of weeks' time is a big change in all of these areas, but perhaps some of them more than others, depending on what your starting point is. So what we think might be a useful thing to do, first of all, before we get to topic 1 even, is to fill out this table and then blog it. You can put the results perhaps in your About Me section, or you could just do a separate introductory post where you post your comments on this task, and perhaps write a short commentary about what particular areas you want to focus on, or any particular things that you feel are most important, and then come back and reflect on that at the end and see how much things have changed. Does that make sense?
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, Nick, did you want to say any more about that?
No, just that is a really good idea. It will certainly help with the topic 6 reflection to draw on, from this point in the course. I think that would be quite useful.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I'm going to close this down now and come back to the main screen. Right. Okay. So are we getting any questions?
Nope. Still no questions.
Right. Okay. At this point, then, Sarah, do you want to just chat through the practicalities of what you'd like people to do and how you're going to respond to them about getting their blogs linked up and their feedback documents sorted, that kind of thing?
Yep, absolutely.
Over to you.
Thank you. So what you need to do, Lisa was showing you on the bottom right hand side of the MANG 2049 blog page, there's that link to the form that's got the 9 steps. If you look in the very middle of that form, there's a link to a Google form. Click that link and that will present you with a form that asks you to fill in some details. Those details will be things like your Gmail address, but most importantly, it will also ask you for the address of your blog. So you probably need to set up a blog before you complete that form. Once you've set up a blog, you can complete the form, you can copy and paste the blog address in, and at that point, I can then begin to link your blog with our main blog so that all your posts will show. There's a couple of things to think about when you're setting up your blog, and I'm going to assume here that you're going to do the WordPress, the standard WordPress blog, and not use one of your own. When you're setting up your blog, you'll find that you have a whole load of different themes to choose from, which will give your blog a distinctive style. Some of those themes work really well, and some of them don't. You probably won't know which ones aren't going to work very well until you've actually set them up and I begin to tell you that there are a few technical issues. And they will be, the main thing is that comments that people leave on your future blog posts don't show up. Some themes, it just doesn't seem to happen. The comment, you can see them because you're the blog owner, you can see the comments, but other people can't, and that doesn't work for us. But we'll find out which themes they are once we get started. When you set up your blogs, please don't forget to fill in things like the About Me page. That you'll as soon as you set your blog up, you'll see which bits need completing. And I'd strongly advise you to do that, because once you've written your first blog post, it becomes really obvious which things haven't been done, because they're staring at you. And so definitely try and fill those in. It's also really important that you read through, if you like, the technical instructions, one of which Lisa did show you. It said, I saw it on the screen, it said very clearly that you need to tag your blog with the hashtag MANG2049. That is so that I can pick it up and it shows on our main blog. But you also need to create categories. And of course, your first category is going to be topic 1. If you don't do that, your blog post won't show. And I'll be getting on to you fairly quickly and saying that you need to set up a category and make sure that works. That's always quite tricky. Once you've got the first one done, then everything seems to be fine from then on. You will know how to do it and subsequent topics will show. And that'll be all fine. What I'll also do is I will, because I'll have your Gmail address, I will also send you a link to the Google form. and that will have all the marking criteria on it that Nick was talking about earlier. So you'll see how we're going to mark each of your blog posts. And so that gives you a real insight into the kind of thing that we're looking for. So in effect, you can work backwards. You can have a look and say, what do I need to do? What's going to give me the top marks? This is what I'm going to aim for. This is what I'm going to try and do, which is a huge advantage for you. What we ask you to do is, when you submit your first blog post, we would like you to highlight the areas that you think you've done in yellow, and you don't have to highlight everything in the same category. You'll see when you look at that form that, for example, you may not fit in all of one band. You may find that you've done some things from a higher band, or perhaps one or two things you've done fit into a lower band, and that's fine. Just highlight the things that you think you've done. We will highlight what we think you've done in green, if it's any different from the decisions that you've made, and then we'll make some brief comments underneath that form if that's appropriate. The comments will probably be quite matter of fact, and we may or may not suggest something that you've done really well and something that you need to improve. And as I said in the on the YouTube page, you can see I've typed in some comments, and we try and give a shout out on Twitter to the person or people that we think have really stood out for each blog post.
Sorry to interrupt. We've had a message in from Brendan saying that the stream is down at his end. So for me, I don't know about you, but for me, probably 50% of everything Sarah is saying is being cut off.
Oh, that's a shame, because it sounded fine to me.
No,
okay.
I was having to piece together the missing words, basically, from Sarah's part,
Okay.
but that might have just been me.
Don't worry, because it must be just a partial thing, because I heard it loud and clear, so the recording should be fine. So what I'd suggest, if anybody feels they've missed anything, just have a look at it again on the recording, and it should be okay. But we'll go through all of this again as we get to that anyway. So don't feel as though that's the only opportunity you had to find out about the marking, especially as we haven't really got. We're still a couple of days away from that anyway. So we'll certainly tomorrow and the next day in these sessions we'll go through that again. So if you didn't get that last section, please don't worry.
And I'll be able to see who's filled in the Google form tomorrow. So I will give a shout out to the people that did and remind the people that didn't what they need to do. So it's not it's fine.
Great, thanks Sarah. Okay, so one thing we should also mention is that the entire topic 1 is not actually counting towards your final mark. We use it as a practice. So if you do feel that
hold on, I think their feed is still down, so I'm not sure if anyone's getting any of this.
Well, I'm getting 8 viewers down. The number of viewers is stayed pretty constant on the bottom of this screen. So it'll be we'll keep going, Nick, because it'll be fine for the recording, even if people aren't picking it up live.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying. The topic 1 not actually counting in your assessment. It's really an opportunity to practice going through the whole process, so that by the time we get to topic 2, which will be first thing on Monday, you should know exactly what's expected and what you're doing, and everything should be set up correctly for you to go through topics 2 to 5 totally smoothly. Okay, I think that's probably all we needed to do this morning. Are there any other questions?
No, just sort of some of our more communicative, Eddie and Brendan, are still saying that the feed's down.
Right.
So they didn't catch any of that last bit, I don't think.
Okay.
I have time that they can check everything out on the recording once we're finished.
Great, thanks. Right, well, probably best if we end it there then for today. So what I'll do next is I'll send a link to this recording so that anyone who has missed anything can check it out. And I'll also just put in a quick blog post into the module blog, just summarising what you need to do before the next of these sessions tomorrow morning or evening for you. Okay, so I think we've probably got to where we wanted to get this morning anyway. I know there's a lot of stuff to think about, and do feel free, you don't have to wait till tomorrow if you've got questions. You can tweet them or you can email them to us if there's a burning issue that you don't understand before tomorrow's session, then feel free to ask. And if there was any of this that you didn't get, then say the recording should be, as soon as we finish, pretty much straight away available on YouTube, and I'll tweet a link to that. So anything else you guys wanted to add?
No, I'm...
A question.
Okay.
She says, to create a separate category for each topic, do we do it by topic 1, hashtag MANJ2043? No, you don't need to. You can just do it by topic 1 without the hashtag.
And it's 2049.
It's on the right. Is that right, Sarah?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you don't need the MANJ2049 reference.
Not as a category, no.
Yeah.
Just the topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are there any other questions on there?
No, that's the only one so far. Thank you for the question, Vivian.
Okay, right. Well, I've noticed, I haven't had a chance to read them properly, but I've noticed quite a few tweets flying around in the bottom corner of my screen. So I'll have a look at those ones as soon as we've gone off air. And as I say, I'll tweet a link to the recording of this in case you've missed anything. So hope you've enjoyed it. Hope we haven't bombarded you with too much information, and we look forward to seeing you again same time tomorrow. And there'll be a new link again for tomorrow's session, which I'll make available in this summary blog post. Okay, do you guys want to just say cheerio or any closing thoughts?
Yeah, well, just good luck with everything you have to do today. If you take the time to read the guides and really understand what it is you're expected to do with this module, it may be slightly different from modules you've done before. So take that time, add mini bits of it, the setting up bits of it, and then once that's all done, hopefully then I think it will be a real joy, and I'm looking forward to working with you all on this. So thanks for tuning in today.
Great, thanks Nick. Sarah?
Yeah, all I was going to say was read the guides that are on the blog, because all the instructions for everything that you need to do from a technical point of view, from an admin point of view, is all there. Read that first before you I don't know, post a problem on Twitter or contact me and say you can't do something or whatever, because it really is all there, and it's worth reading through. I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Great, thanks very much. So I'm going to hit the stop button now, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again soon. Okay, bye.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.